Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
I'm having a senior moment. All right, we're all set now. So let me introduce myself. I'm Mel Albin, and I'm the host of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour on the Source TV radio network. I started this Power Hour because I wanted people to get to know the mind behind the music. And I want to take people backstage to meet the artist, to learn about how the artist creates the music that we all love. And it gives you an insight into the creative process. When you listen to the music, you'll know exactly what it takes to really become an outstanding artist. So, we play jazz on the Power Hour, and it's jazz crossover. Anybody at all, who is a name artist who plays jazz, jazz rock, jazz soul, jazz R&B, jazz gospel, jazz country, jazz, any crossover. We want to bring them to your attention, both artists that you know and artists that you may not know as of yet. So that's the purpose for the Power Hour. So we take you back to the daily life of what an artist is. We broadcast, by the way, on the Power Hour in streaming 4K, and we're the only station in the country that broadcasts in Dolby True HD. So we have excellent sound quality, whether you're watching or listening. Source Radio is a nonprofit 501c3 station. We support jazz, and we also support Black minority micro businesses to help them build scale by giving them time on our radio station when they often are too small to be on Amazon or to be on Shopify. So we help them build generational wealth and a family business. So that's plus we play jazz every day, 24/7. You can listen to jazz on our station. We have 60,000 songs. We rotate every 3 months, so you can never hear the same song twice on Source. So we're the place for you to listen to jazz. Okay. We also are a 501c3. We're a nonprofit company. And that means that we depend on donations from our listeners, from sponsors, and from the artists that we have on our show because we help support them. And likewise, they support us by helping to donate and contribute so that Source can be a global radio station. We reach 3 million people globally every month. We reach on this show between 175 and 225,000 people live. And we were also broadcast through 16,000 BBC affiliated stations globally. So, if you make a donation, remember it's always tax free. And we depend on those donations to pay our costs for staying on air. The Power Hours had over 125 amazing artists, and some are very well known and some are becoming well known. They've included artists like Eric Roberson, Mesa, Brian Culbertson, Paul Brown, Raheem DeVaughn, Reagan Whiteside, Alex Harris, Greg Adams, Tom Brown, Costello, Eric Darius, Pieces of a Dream, Kamasi Washington, Keiko Matsui, Kim Scott, Sheryl Crow, Billy Ocean, Annie Lennox, Dwelly, Maria Antoinette, Jay Brown, Miss Monet, Yulia, Blake Aaron, Terry Wollman, her, Celine Johnson, Aaron Stevenson. I can go on and on. Mavis One Pools, Cecily, the late Bobby Caldwell, Jeff Bradshaw, Dion Parson, Tammy McCann, Jeff Beck, Eric Burden, Mickey Howard, and many others. So that's just a few of the many artists that we have. And tonight's no exception. We have an incredible jazz saxophone player for you tonight who is extremely creative. He has always been in touch with the healing spirit of music. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. He's of West Indian descent. His early love of music eventually led to his being chosen from over 5,000 candidates to attend the New York's prestigious High School for the Performing Arts. He went on to attend another famous institution, the Berklee College of Music in Boston, where he studied audio engineering. He counts among his musical influences Grover Washington Jr., David Sanborn, Kenny Garrett, and also King Curtis. He has performed at the New York Artists Showcase at Capitol Jazz Fest in Washington, on the Christmas Holiday Tour with Grammy Award winners Take Six, and the International African Arts Festival in New York City, and at B. Smith's Rooftop Cafe. He released two holiday singles, Mary Did You Know and Hark the Herald Angels Sing, both of which will be playing for you tonight so you can get in the Christmas spirit with us right away. He's had three solo CDs. He hopes to touch as many people as possible with his positive power of music. He said, this is a quote, "It may be a cliche, but I believe that music is truly a universal language, is that it transcends physical boundaries. That's what I seek to do in my work as a musician, to speak to people spirit to spirit." Please welcome tonight's very special guest. I'm so pleased to have him on our show, Mr. Curtis Haywood. Welcome,
Hello.
Curtis.
Hey, Mel. Thank you for having me. Truly considered an honor to meet you and to learn about you, man.
Well, I appreciate having you. I've been following your music for over 10 years. And, when I found out that you work with both of our close friends, Myron Ruffin, who's one of the best artist publicists out there. Myron, I said, Myron, you got Curtis, I got to have him on my show. So he hooked me up with you, and here we are. So I'm really pleased that you're able to make it.
Thank you for having me.
I like to start the show off by letting everybody know what's cooking. We're getting to the end of 2024. What's going on for the rest of the year? And what do you have in the works for 2025? Any new releases, performances? Tell everybody about what's going on.
Well, currently, I'm absolutely soliciting your viewers, your listeners, to please friend all of my social medias, Curtis Haywood page on Facebook and Curtis Haywood on Instagram. I'm currently a candidate. Through December 1st, you can vote for me to win a spot in the 2025 Aloha Jazz Festival. So, and you can vote every day. So please go to my social media websites, and the links are all there. Mel also has a direct link that you can click on and you can vote. So I really am drawing on your support through December 31st. You can vote every day, once a day, and help get me into the 25 Aloha Jazz Festival. In addition to that, I was just added to the 25 Berks Jazz Festival. I'll be down at Berks April 5th, I believe, either 5th or the 6th. That will be posted shortly. And my latest single is called Last Dance. That was recently released. So that, that is what is at the forefront of what I'm doing right now.
And what you have anything planned for 2025? Any other tour dates or new releases or?
I haven't picked the song yet. There will definitely be a new song out for 25. But right now, I'm in the heat of promoting Last Dance. And as you know, on this level, I'm continually trying to make way into as many jazz festivals as possible.
Just so you know, Curtis, and just so our audience knows, after the show, starting tomorrow, you'll have your music in our daily rotation. So you'll be played 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So anybody that wants to hear Curtis's latest song or any of his previous recordings, you can tune into Source and listen to it anytime and even request it. You can make a request of his music and we can pop it up and play it for you. We'll also be having Curtis's competition where he wants you to sign up and vote for him so he can be in the Aloha Festival. That'll be up by tomorrow night too. So be sure everybody listening in, vote for Curtis and so other people can get to hear his wonderful music.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you.
You're welcome. What I want to do, Curtis, is I like to give people background this is something they rarely see anymore. It used to be in artists' bios on their websites. They would talk about their early upbringing, or their first contacts with music. They don't do that anymore. They usually start out talking about what music they have and what's out there. So I want you
Mhm.
to give our listeners a short history of, how did when did you know that music was going to be your calling? What was your family like in terms of music? Was there music in your household? And you were raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I believe that the environment that artists are raised in profoundly influences their musical choices. So maybe you can talk about your early years, both with your family, school, and New York.
Well, Mel, there's environment, and then there's the microcosm of environment, which is the family. And I'm an absolute testimony that although I was raised in East New York, Brooklyn, which was once listed on the New York Post as considered the dead zone, um, the family environment that I was in completely overrode that. I had two parents. I was blessed to have two parents, even more blessed to have a father present in my life. And he planted the seed. We studied music together. We took lessons together. All of my siblings were exposed to music, which is what every parent is supposed to do, is expose them to the best of their ability to wherever you see their gifting might be showing up, and then to the best of your ability support them. So I was the only one out of six of us that took it all the way, that the gifting, it rose up inside of me as early as first grade. My first instrument was a trumpet. And coming from a West Indian background, I actually wanted to sleep with it in my bed. And my parents, West Indians, are pretty strict. And I kicked and screamed and scratched, and I won, which is not which is not something that's a rarity for a child to win in a West Indian home growing. So from there, it just took off. I was top of my class. The gift showed itself. And I say to anybody out there, some people are like, oh, I don't know what my life's calling is. First of all, everybody's been gifted with at least two gifts. And I believe two or three, they're meant to complement each other. Your job is to find out which one is going to be the money maker, which one might be the creative one that may not necessarily be the money maker, and how could the second one that makes the money support the first one. My mentor taught me that it's called vision provides for vision. So don't ever discount multi talents. Find them, dig them out, polish them, turn them into marketable skills. Now, my parents tried again to stop me when I went to get into performing arts high school. And then my brothers came to the rescue and convinced my parents to let me go. They tried again when I got to Berklee School of Music. So I've had several internal humps that speed bumps that I had to get over. But my parents, they had all well wishes,
What did they want you to do?
Oh my God. Anybody who has a West Indian father or parent, they wanted me to get a trade, something that was a trade. You know that story. And
Yeah.
how are you going to survive, or how are you going to eat? And you can't blame them. I've had to be very creative over the years in terms of how I structured my life to still be available for that call. Infamous call from the entertainment industry.
I came from a Jewish liberal household, and from the day I was born, my mother called me doctor.
Wow.
I did not ever have a choice. That
Wow.
was it.
Wow. Oh, you're touching on a very, very volatile subject right now in terms of children having choices in this day and age. Oof. Mm.
I would not want to be a child today for anything in the world.
No.
I'm a lot older than you, and obviously, but when I was being raised, you had a television and a telephone and a radio. That's your technology.
Yep.
And you might have had a bathroom scale that was mechanical.
I still, I think by the time, yeah, they did have touch tone by the time I grew up. I knew what a dial phone was like. My grandmother had one, but I did at least
Yeah,
have a touch tone phone.
yeah, but I'll tell you what, life was very simple.
Very,
And
very.
face-to-face contact was the name of the game. People would sit around dinner tables and talk with each other, listen to music together, and
Mm,
it was a different life. But
true.
I appreciate the kind of childhood you had. Talk about New York City a little bit. How did that play into your musical development?
Um, well, in Manhattan, it was a spot called the Jazzmobile, and it was pretty well known, pretty probably world renowned. But there was another little spot in Brooklyn called the New Muse, and it was Brooklyn's hidden secret. Now I'm not sure where you were raised, but it was hidden right in the middle of a very strong Jewish neighborhood, Crown Heights
Oh, sure. Yeah.
in Brooklyn. And that's where I cut my teeth and razored and got everything sharpened. So New York, although I didn't really get out into the streets much, I was home practicing. And when I finished my homework, my mother had more homework for me to do. So she kept me busy. Thankfully enough, I had an at-home mom. So I know I'm a product of an at-home mom, and I know the value of that. And my heart goes out to children nowadays that don't have that luxury.
What a lot of people don't know, and I'm sure you know this, Curtis, New York, separate from Tin Pan Alley, where jazz was very important, a very important musical genre. New York has always was very steeped in jazz. The
Mm,
Blue Note, obviously Dizzy's at Lincoln Center.
yep.
I can go on and on, but it's a cultural mecca if you're interested in jazz. And that was my next question. How did you come to jazz? You could have in New York, you had so many varieties of music. Why jazz? Well, how did that work for you?
Well, I first started out in the church, and then I came across my very first group called Joshua, and they were a mix of Spyro Gyra and the Yellow Jackets. And the piano player and musical director totally opened my ears. And I jumped in it. I gravitated. As you named earlier, King Curtis, Grover Washington, David Sanborn. That's where my dad, he opened my ears to King Curtis. So the influences started literally from the beginning of just who I was listening to. And then when the practical application came in terms of getting into a band, we were absolutely the garage band. We shedded for like 2 years until we came up, and then things started to open for us.
How old were you then?
When I got into the band,
Yeah,
uh,
when you got into the. Yeah.
I think probably mid to early to mid 20s.
And up until
Um,
that time, you hadn't played with any bands previously?
no, it was pretty much, it was all church. And as you know, the church musician is it's like the hidden pot of gold in terms of jazz musicians.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. But you also went to the New York Performing Arts School, and
yes.
I'm sure. So all during your high school years, you were involved with music. Um,
Yeah, now that was actually a bit of a twist because between under the umbrella of Fiorello LaGuardia School of the Arts, we had two schools. We had music and art in Harlem, and then we had performing arts in Midtown Manhattan. Performing arts was strictly classical. So my high school years was all classical training. I had a jazz teacher from the New Muse who then said, all right, well, if that's what they're teaching, then we're going to go with it. But I still had the New Muse. So I had a very balanced background growing up. Sometimes I wish I did go to music and art, which, I would have been steeped in jazz. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously it worked for you. So,
It did.
but,
It did.
before we talk about Berkeley, in fact, let's talk about Berkeley a little bit. So you finished high school in New York and off to Boston you went. How did you choose Berkeley? And
Berkeley was the mecca at the time. Everybody who was anybody, Berkeley was the place to be. And I was blessed to be there while Will Calhoun from Living Color was in his senior year,
wow.
Javon Jackson, Cyrus Chestnut, and
wow.
I think one other player. All four of their careers just mushroomed once they left. So I was there for their senior year, so I got to really just rub elbows with them. And then, when I said earlier about being practical, when I was at Berkeley, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to spend 40 grand for a performance degree when 10,000 people who are not spending that money are home practicing or hitting the streets. So I was like, let me pick something that I can at least make some money, be more practical. So that's why I chose the MP&E, music production and engineering.
Well, that pays off now when you're doing your own music, that's for sure.
Yes.
That training is vital and gives you a different perspective than a lot of artists would have on their own. So that really worked for you too. Well, okay, let's let the audience hear some of your music. And I have 4 songs, and I chose a particular order, which I hope you approve. I want to start off, as this is the holiday season, with one of the 2 Christmas songs, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So why don't you tell us the backstory on this wonderful holiday cheer, and then we'll play it for everybody.
Well, I was raised in the church, so my faith, this holiday is all about my faith and the Savior of the world, Christ. So, as we've heard, remember the reason for the season. So, with commercialism as well as your faith, you find a good balance between the two, and then you put your style, which is smooth jazz on it.
So how did you choose this song?
I hadn't really heard it done in a way. Smooth jazz is all about taking covers and doing covers and finding a lane that somebody just hasn't yet done it yet. So it was a popular song. Everybody knows it. And how can I put my little signature on it? So it was just a matter of picking and choosing who hasn't done this song this way yet.
Terrific. Well, let's play Hark the Herald Angels by Curtis Haywood, and then we'll be back and we'll talk some more. Beautiful song.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful. Here's some comments. People are listening in already. This is from Richie Crofton. I was raised hearing the song every Christmas at church. Love your rendition, Curtis. Bravo.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you.
Here's more. There's other comments here. Who is this one? Julie Brockmorton. How sweet. Denzel Lucas. Never heard it with the lead sax. Love it. Here's another one. Paul Kaplan. What kind of sax are you playing? I play an alto.
That is an alto. It is, if he's asking, well, it is an
I
alto.
think the brand. I think the brand.
Oh, brand, yeah. It's a Yamaha Custom Z,
Okay.
silver plated.
Okay. Well, you have people listening in interested in your music already. So it's always nice. So
Always great to connect with people.
definitely. So let's continue a little bit with learning more about you. What was your first foray into professional performance or recording? I know you played with the jazz fusion band Joshua. How did that come about?
That was my first recording. It was self-produced. It was called Joshua. I actually need to work with my label about re-releasing it and making it available, on the internet. So we did a cover of Sting's song, Fragile.
Oh, okay.
If you've ever heard Fragile,
Yes, I know.
we did a cover of Sting's Fragile. Amazing. Oh, that song is, whew. I mean, it hits really, truly to the fragility of humankind. And I saw a posting. He did it live once, and he had Stevie Wonder as a guest on the song. Oh my God, you got to look it up. Go to YouTube, please look that song up.
I didn't know that.
One, specifically with Stevie Wonder, it takes you, it transcends you into another realm of just, again, the healing that's underlying the human fragility.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm always interested in how people get started. So, how did your solo career emerge out of Joshua?
Oh, wow. It took me 10 years to recover and regroup and put out a solo CD. The band unfortunately went our separate ways in 97. And it was 2007 is when I put my first solo CD out. So it hit hard. I was terrified to do this on my own. And because as a group, there's strength in numbers. So it took me 10 years to really regroup. I felt like I was wandering in the desert. And then finally my producer at the time really, really helped me regroup and put it out. And I'm so glad that I was able to rebound and do it, because music it is such a divine gift. There is such healing power in music for myself and for my fans. It haunts you if you don't fulfill that calling. And I don't ever want to step on anybody else's gift, but there's no other gift like music. And that's why they call it the music, the universal language. It truly has divine power. Whenever you hear artists talk about their songs and how'd you write that song, put it all aside. That song came straight from the Heavenly Father. It is a divine gift. Every song. Now, what you use that song, how you use that power, that's a whole different ballgame.
It's interesting because you're talking about music as a universal language, and you play jazz, which is the only really true American music art form.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really emphasizing the uniqueness and the gift, that has been passed down for generations in this country, that is more appreciated now in other places like Japan and Europe, and India and Australia. much
Yeah.
more appreciated than it is here, and it's our music.
Yeah,
You know, so
absolutely. Totally.
yeah, yeah. So your first CD, it was a collection of, you had a lot of interesting collaborations. Whoops, I just lost my earpiece. Excuse me a minute.
Hmm.
I'm back. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, um, you had a lot of collaborations and a lot of great artists. You had Artie Reynolds, who had played with Kirk Whalum and Alicia Keys and Keith Sweat, and Alex Bugno. You also had on board that you had Ainsley Taylor on drums. You had Chris Fisher on keys. You had Willie Brown on guitar. You had a real powerhouse band. How did you put that together?
Well, as you know, in this business, it's all about who you know, not what you know. And as you come across relationships, you reach out for favors, and it's all about timing. If you're in the right place at the right time, but more importantly, it was about the song choice. The song of the choices of songs that will put a story together. But yeah, it's. I mean, my last CD literally came down to the 12th hour on Smooth Summer Breeze. Reagan Whiteside, who's a amazing flutist. I did a favor for her and performed performed in her band once, and then she did a favor for me and recorded on a song on my last CD, Summer Breeze.
Reagan's a good friend, and she's been on my show twice at least.
Yeah.
She's a fabulous flautist. She's a wonderful musician and
Yeah,
great composer too.
definitely. She's got her own radio show.
Yeah,
So I'm very, very happy for
in
her.
Atlanta. She also has a #1 hit with Maria Antoinette called Africa. It's #1, and she did it with Maria Antoinette.
Wow, I gotta check. I don't think I've heard that one yet.
Oh, it's wonderful. Maria Antoinette is a harpist. She's a jazz harpist,
Hmm.
and they collaborated on this song, and it's a #1 hit.
Wow, I'm wondering if that was just put out because I've been.
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay,
recent.
Got you. Okay, I haven't.
Probably in the last 2 months.
Cool. Yeah, my head was in the sand for the last 2 months getting my song out.
Everything's so serendipitous. You talk about Reagan. I know Reagan and Maria, and it's funny how this all comes full circle.
Mm-hmm.
You also did a Stevie Wonder cover on your CD, didn't you?
Yes,
CD?
I did Creepin'.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coupled with the healing aspect. I'm a balladeer. Ballads are my go-to. I'm ballads are absolutely. So what I like about that song is I always do a trivia at live shows, and it always stumps the audience. It's always usually only one, maybe two people who gets it. When I ask, who was the original artist of that song versus the second artist who blew that song up. And I usually give out a free CD for those who get it. So yeah, that song was that's how that song has played out for me.
It's funny you talk about ballads. One of the songs you've done, Curtis, that I love. I wouldn't call it a ballad. It's City Lights. and I love that groove.
Really?
You nailed that song, man. I want to play it for everybody now because. It is different from a lot of the other songs that I've listened to over the years that you've performed.
Mm. Wow.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about City Lights?
City Lights, as a matter of fact, when I just checked my Spotify ratings, that song was released last year, this same time. I pretty much always release songs on my birthday in October. So yeah, so that was definitely when I write a song, usually literally right in the moment when the raw idea hits me and I record it on my phone. it just may sound funny, but the fact that I have to save it right there in that moment, I usually take a moment, and before I save it, I have to name it. And I usually take in the moment of what's going on in my life at that time, and I name the song in conjunction with having to save it on my phone so I can share it with myself. So that song just, it was the culmination. If you watch the video, you'll see the city. You want to talk about, the influence of New York, just the skyline itself is just breathtaking.
Yeah. It's funny, you and I have talked about this before the show. I was raised in New York, and I lived for a while just north of New York City near Nyack. And it was a small town called Tompkins Cove, right on the Hudson. And I remember I never saw stars at night because the halo from New York was so bright.
Wow.
You couldn't see stars. And when I was in my early 20s, I went to the Pocono Mountains, and the sky was jet black with stars, and I panicked. I wanted to know what happened to the sky. Where are the pinks? Where's the pink and yellow colors?
Wow.
I mean, talk about being a city kid. That was me.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
So let's play City Lights for everybody. I love this song, and then we'll come back and we'll spend some more time talking. Okay?
Yes.
Yo, see, man, how you feel about tonight, man?
Hey, man, it is what it is.
All right, man. Hey, hey, man, great show tonight. Hey, man, hey, listen, great show tonight. Same time next week?
Yeah, man.
All right, man. All right, brother. And get home safe, bro.
Oh man, I love that. I love that song, Curtis. I
Thank
play that a
you.
lot.
Appreciate that, man. That really, really warms my heart to hear that.
Here are some more viewers, comments. This is Connie Savarino. Oh my God, this makes my feet start tapping. Here's another one.
Love it.
Cal Ardmore. This is what smooth jazz needs: some unsmooth, an edge.
Nice. Yep,
I,
absolutely.
I like the unsmooth. That's cool.
Yeah.
And here's Zoe Carlton. Love the break in the middle and the key changes. Great arrangement.
Okay. All right. So we have a musician online.
Yeah,
Somebody knows who about key changes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I had a lot of fun shooting that. I shot that in 2 different locations in Manhattan, as you see, right in front the Blue Note. And I had to make sure I give them credit, Didn't want anybody coming after me.
Really.
And then I hopped over to Queens, Long Island City, to get that amazing city line backdrop. So, and it was freezing cold when I shot that. As you can see, I had my coat on, but I had a lot of fun shooting that one.
Yeah, the video is excellent. I really enjoyed watching it too. It really fits the music so well. You know, let's talk about collaborations a little bit more from a different perspective. You've collaborated with so many musicians. I'm just curious if you could collaborate with any artist, arranger, producer, composer, lyricist, vocalist from any time period, any century, and from anywhere in the world. Who would you want to collaborate with? Who's on your bucket list for a big collaboration?
Wow. We just lost 2 greats. I've always wanted to record I Feel Good, Nina Simone's
Yeah,
song. I've always wanted to record that with David Sanborn. I
mm,
wanted to be able to do that as a duet with him. And unfortunately, we lost him. And the even bigger fish in the pond, Mr. Quincy Jones. That man is, oof, my God, a mega. But if I had to now pick somebody who is still with us, wow. Probably Marcus Miller.
Marcus Miller. I would never. Marcus Miller is fabulous. I never would have thought that would be your collaborator. I would have
Yeah,
thought Stevie Wonder or somebody like that.
I'd probably pick Marcus because, again, the balance that he's brought with what he did with Luther, and then
Mhm.
he's the mega bass player in terms of jazz, funk, R&B. So the mix of the two, yeah, I'd love to have him behind me.
Wonderful. Well, let's reach out to him. That's great.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. When I ask people this question, I get to know how they think about music. It's always interesting to me.
Yeah.
I had Dwelle on my show, and when I asked Dwelle that question, he came back with Minnie Riperton, which I never would have suspected.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, you know
Uh,
what? I I've bottom line is as much as I love my craft, I want to make money. I want to be able to live. So I'm gonna go for people who could put me on the map, and I want to be able to live, so and live comfortably. So all 3 of those names, they lived pretty comfortably.
let me throw someone into the mix that I thought about when I listened to your music. It would be a fantastic collaboration. Bob James.
Yes, Bob James,
Yeah,
absolutely. Taxi, I love. Oh
yeah,
man, the
yeah.
themes to
I thought
Taxi.
he would be great with you. That would be such a great
Oh
collaboration.
yeah, no, absolutely. And he's getting up in age, but he's
Yeah,
still around. Still, yeah. Bob James, definitely a
yeah, still
staple.
doing it. Well, let's talk a little bit about songwriting, because I know you do covers, but you also write originals. How do you begin the process? You talked a little bit about recording on your cell phone, right away. But how do you do? how do you do the process end to end? Since you have a degree in training in production, you must be involved heavily in post-production. So why don't you tell everybody end to end, how do you create a song?
It comes from God. Real simple. I've yet to ever sit down at a piano and make a conscious effort to actually, I don't want to use this word fabricate, but to come up with an idea. Every single song, original song of mine, literally drops into my head. I hear it in its final, I hear it complete and finished, and then I get the raw idea on my phone or however, and then I go through the process of trying to get it how I heard it, because that's how it comes. The other thing that is one way. I will hear it in its finished way. I will also just get a bass line or a melody, and then I'll sing it, and then usually the creativity kicks in. It is all divinely planted in my spirit. And I try to explain to people, the feeling of when you've lost something and you're scratching your head to try to find it, and then the aha moment comes when you remember that rush of adrenaline that you feel of like, oh yes, that's where it is. In that moment, that feeling is the feeling that I get when a new song drops in. It's almost like I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Where'd that come from?
I've been at dinner and I'll get quiet and I'm like, okay, I gotta shut out everything, because the other thing is I've lost songs because I didn't get them out of my head quite fast enough to get them on the recording. So it's almost like I have to, it's a mission impossible. Like I've got this little piece of gold that I have to protect until I get it recorded. So, but all of my songs, they light my spirit up and I'm like, oh wow, okay. And you see, heavens open, lights come down, the rays of sun, and you literally hear the melody. And the other thing I try to help people, when you've heard a song, your favorite song, and then, or you heard a new song and that song stays in your head.
Sure.
It's
very annoying too.
Well, not for me. For me, it's a prize. It's like I found something. It's like I stumbled upon a pot of gold, and now I have to protect it and then make sure it gets through the birthing process.
Yeah, I want to get to talking with you a little bit about two things: your foundations you work with, and the African diaspora, and some of the importance of Africa in your music. But let me play another song for people first, and we can talk a little more about that. I want to play Summer Breeze. So let me play Summer Breeze, and we can come back, spend a minute or two talking about that, and then we'll go ahead and talk about your foundation work, okay? This is Summer Breeze by I saw your comment, um, Curtis. You did send me the uh, video version, but it was like almost 9 minutes, and I'm limited to 200 megabytes. I tried to compress it. I couldn't compress it that much. That much.
9 minutes or
Yeah,
9 megabytes?
I think it was nine. It might have been 9 megabytes. I thought it was 9 minutes. I could do 200 megabytes. I think it was 9 minutes long.
Oh
I
no,
recall.
it was just as long as the song. Wow, that's
Well,
interesting.
well, it could be me, but I tried to compress it down. I couldn't get it compressed, so I chose another version of YouTube. I hope you don't mind.
Nah, it's okay.
And I had to compress this one down. You know,
No, I
I
just encourage everybody to go on YouTube and watch it. And you'll see me play Steel Pan, which that song and
that's funny you mentioned that because one of the comments, steel pan, how cool.
yeah.
Do you know Victor Provost?
No, I don't know him.
Victor is probably the greatest steel pan player in the world. There's Leon Thomas and Victor Provost. Those two cats, they've introduced steel pan into Caribbean jazz.
Yeah.
And you should definitely check them out. They are incredible.
I will definitely. I've heard of Victor. I haven't met him, but I've definitely heard of him.
Well, if you want the hookup, let me know. I can introduce you to some of these guys. But it was one, some in comments from Alex, steel drums. Who would have thought about that? In the Seals and Crofts song. So, I want to talk about some of this. Obviously, this is Caribbean influence. It's African influence. It's had a big impact on your music. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your connection to African music and how you introduce it into jazz?
Well, I'm into history, our history, especially blacks in America, and I've been learning about our connection, the African diaspora, and it's something that's dear to my heart. I went to Ghana in 2018. Didn't get to go back because of the pandemic, but my primary care physician actually opened the very first medical school in Ghana. And that was kind of a secondary. I first started partnering with Feed the Children. And then there was another, organization that's steeped in Haiti. They're called Community to Community. So what I did was the song off of my first CD called Rain Song.
Right.
I dedicated that, and I started taking proceeds from that song and donating. And that song, Rain Song, has a literal and spiritual meaning behind it. I specifically told Feed the Children that I wanted my money to go to Africa, to Ethiopia, who's been ravaged with famine, hence the name Rain Song. So in a literal sense, I wanted my money to be used there. And then spiritually, for my fans, if your life has met a drought in any form or fashion, psychologically, emotionally, however, it was just my prayer, that your life would find some type of seed form, be it as small as a mustard seed, that basically new life in that area would start to seed and bud. It's part of the healing of the gift that I have, that's been given to me, is to share that with people. So yeah, I'm all about, being very practical, literal, and deliberate about sharing. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, if you say to a poor man, hey man, stay safe, be well, and send them off, what have you done for that person? Your words have no have no value. You've done nothing for that person. So, people cringe when somebody who's panhandling comes up to the car and asks for money. And, that's nuts and bolts. Do you give the money or do you take them and buy food, for them, which is the end result? So, I love what John Legend is doing in
Mhm.
Africa in terms of I see what Oprah did. So yeah, I'm big about the motherland.
Wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time. I want to play a last song, then we'll come back and we'll talk for a few minutes. The last song is Mary, Did You Know? So
Mhm.
after the song, you can come back and tell us about it, and then we'll have to wrap up for the evening. It's too bad the time flies so fast. It always does.
Always, always.
Yeah, so here's Mary, Did You Know? Wow, that's beautiful, Curtis. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really love it. Look, I'm afraid we're out of time. I really have so much more I wanted to discuss with you. We'll have to have you back the next time you drop some music. We'll have you back on the show.
Definitely.
And we can talk about so many more things. It's been a really delightful evening, and I'm glad people got to hear some of the Christmas music, and your other music is just as well. But why don't you tell everybody how they can reach you, what your website and social media is, how they can become a fan, purchase your music.
Well, the quickest way is to get me on social media. Go to my Facebook page, Curtis Haywood page. And then on Instagram, it's Curtis Haywood. I do have a website, curtishaywood.com. But as I stated at the beginning of the at the top of the show, I really am soliciting your listeners and viewers to please help vote for me to be in the 2025 Aloha Jazz Festival. The link is at my all of my social medias. You will see posts, and you just have to click on the link. Mel has the link, and he can please make it available to you. That's the immediate goal. You can vote every day through December 31st, which is the cutoff, and they will announce the winner January 1st or 2nd. And I am on all digital profiles, whether it's Spotify, you can ask Alexa, ask Siri, wherever you listen to music, Pandora, any one of those streaming. Now, if you are old school and you want an actual CD, then go to Amazon, and you can actually order a CD. And that really, truly is the best way you can support any artist, is to buy a physical CD.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the 0.0008 cents per play that you make from Spotify. It's so funny. People used to complain about the record labels ripping off artists.
It's the same. It's no different.
Exactly. Same ripoff, different picture. Anyway, look, Curtis, it's been a real pleasure. Hang around afterwards for a few minutes so we can chat. But I definitely want to have you back, and it's been a wonderful evening. And you're a terrific artist. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you, truly, and thank you to all who've tuned in. Please, I look forward to making some new friends on social media.
Well, you made some new friends tonight on the show, that's for sure. So we wasn't, this is not the normal time for my power hour, but we did have 61,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So not bad for a 4 o'clock show. So
please vote. Vote, everybody. Please vote.
We'll get
for
it
me.
up there. We'll get you a lot of votes. So thanks again, Curtis. Hang around. We'll talk in a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, everybody, that wraps up another edition of the Power Hour. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Curtis is a fabulous person and a great musician. I can't tell you who we're going to have on next week because we're not going to have anybody on next week. This is the last Power Hour for December. And I'll be back to you again in January with a whole new list of artists, great artists and performers who are just some of the finest jazz and jazz crossover artists in the world. So thank you all for being a great audience once again. And everybody have a wonderful holiday season. So long. I'm Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion Power
My name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.